Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You got the Pokemon Professor here, and today I'm bringing you my week 1 for the UPBWL, or as I like to call it, the Ubers League. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Played my BBR matches, so those should be coming up, and excited to try a different team. Not that I don't like my BBR team, but, I'm excited to try the Ubers team for sure. I love Spectrier and some of the other mons that I got. So, very excited for this. And if you're excited, show some love, baby. Drop a sub. Let a boy know that, hey, I support you. I keep talking about getting that steak dinner for BBR, but maybe instead of giving a man a steak dinner he eats for a night, get me to 1,000 subs so I can feed myself steak dinners every night. Get some money off this shit. But this week we do play Thomas Clark and his New York Latios. As you can see on screen, his team is consisted of Giratina Origin, Iron Treads, Samurai Hisuian, Rotom-Yeet, Sylveon, Pelipper, Barraskewda, Overqwil, Porygon Z, Bronzong, and Chestnut. Barraskewda is Terra, Water, Grass, and I think Fighting. Chestnut is Fairy, Steel, and Fighting. But with all that, I don't even know, information overload, I guess. I only have to prep for 6. So I'm guessing Giratina, Treads, Samurott, Pelly, what is that, 4? I have Barraskewda and maybe Overqwil coming. Could see Chestnut coming as well, being Terra type. But I also think Rain, Barraskewda, Terra Water, Choice Band is just a fucking menace. It's a menace to society. So those are the mons that we're prepping for. And the first mon I'm bringing this week is going to be my RIP Shayquaza, the homie. Running enough speed, I think, to outrun everything. Maybe it's an Adamant Barraskewda, and then that also gives me Treads. Max defense with the leftovers allows me to get a sub up. I could see, Black Glasses on Hisuian Samurott or Life Orb, or just something to give him availability to switch up moves and try to click the Sucker Punch. So if I'm able to get a sub up on that thing and then pick up the KO with Draining Kiss, Hex is doing a lot of damage. And outside of that, the Will-O-Wisp on anything else, such as the Iron Treads, the Chestnut even neutering something like the Overqwil, because I'm kind of expecting physical if he wants to bring it. Basically, the only thing that would be able to take a Hex is going to be that PZ, and if I get +1 from the Draining Kiss, we're still going to be able to get back quite a bit of health, and then leftovers will help me as well. We can scout and see if he's scarfed or anything like that. So real bulky Shayquaza this week. Another bulky mon that I have to bring is my Spanish 2, my Zapdos, rocking the Rocky helmet. I do have pressure in this match, which is just silly. I didn't mean to. I was supposed to be static, trying to catch a static on the Samurott or maybe even the Barraskewda, but I'm only a boy. Okay. The Drunken Fist Decidui hold true to their motto. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, Roost, Weather Ball, Thunder, U-Turn. Here for pivoting, drop Big Thunders if he wants to try to bring Rain. Weather Ball could help if he brings the Rotom-Yeet. I've got Rain. Just a good neutral hit on some stuff. Also helps me with like the Terra Rock, being able to throw off into some other stuff. But outside of that, I just plan to drop Big Thunders. Oh, Kaiju, rocking the Choppleberry. Max defense, Sandstream ability. I'm going Special T-Tar this week just because I hope I can catch my opponent off guard. Max defense as well, trying to survive something like a body press from the Treads, and then hopefully pick up something like a KO with the Earth Power. Thunder again, if we got this thing in against the Pelipper, if he wants to try to, I don't even know, set up with something, or if I can just get a Big Thunder off on something on a switch in, if he U-turns out, that could be really huge. Dark Pulse, stab and get some damage, and then Rocks. I think any kind of chip damage on a Barraskewda, on something like the Pelipper if he's Damp Rock, could see something like a Scarf coming this week as well. I just think that's going to be consistent damage that's going to be really nice. Next I got Head Game, rocking that Loaded Dice. Loaded Dice just because I want to get at least 4. The difference between 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, or 3 and 5, whatever you want to calc it, made a huge difference. I'm picking up KOs before Battle Bond, and even after Battle Bond. If I get this thing in Rain, Loaded Dice, I'm getting 4, getting 5 Water Shurikens. That could be game. Dark Pulse is there as well. Maybe I need to hit the Giratina Origin for some solid damage. And it just felt like it was better than the Ice Beam coverage because it hit other stuff pretty solidly as well. Max special attack because Water Shuriken is what I'm expecting to click a lot of the time, but I also have quite a bit with the Gunk Shot to try to hit the Sylveon. This could be late game cleaner, could be mid game breaker, or at least just force him certain switch ins and get off a lot of damage on stuff and maybe set up for my Poppy. Pokemon the movie too. Silk Scarf, a Terra Normal Entei. I got the E-Speed, Iron Head, Sacred Fire, and Crunch, 252 Adamant, 252 Speed. This thing's here to hopefully pick up KOs. With my max speed Adamant, I'm outrunning something like a 0-speed Giratina or just a bulkier Giratina. Iron Head's going to be there for the Sylveon. Extreme speed, basically, once Giratina goes down, if I've got some chip damage on treads, this thing just kind of picks up the game. I do have to watch out for something like the Bronzong, but I've got the Crunch. Same with the Chestnut. If he's, I think, Terra Steel in rain, that could be an issue, so I've got to watch out for that, kind of see what he brings. But I'd like to see Poppy put in the work at the end of the game. And then my next Mon, Lily Lou, running the Assault Vest. That's why she's got the pink hair. I'm just hoping and praying somebody at some point will be like, hey, I know exactly who Lily Lou is, and then me and you can be besties for the resty. Like, we can be homies, I promise. AV this week, just really being able to switch into certain hits, take a Surf if I don't have Sand Up from Kaiju, getting that Spadef boost. Do live somewhat of a Hurricane depending on his spread from Pelipper as well. Can help with the Sylveon, Pixelate, yada yada. Could take a Draco from Giratina Origin depending on spread. But really just here to try to rapid spin away spikes. Power Whip, because that thing just hits fucking hard, dude. Power Whip hits so hard. Picks up some KOs on some treads, Samurott Hisuians, the grass types as well. We're running maxed Fizdef, and that's again because of the Barraskewda. Now granted, he could be Terra Grass, which I'm not going to be doing too much to. I mean, I had the play rough, but we're max bulk, so we can take something if we let Spanish 2 go down and hopefully pick up a revenge KO. I mean, Lily Lou's got a base 120 attack. We all know that bitch can take some punishment, you know? Alright, I'm getting carried away. But at the +1 speed, I think I'm running enough speed to beat Iron Treads if it's not booster. Maybe something like AV or Resist Berry or something like that. And I doubt he's going to run Rendo, so that may be really nice to get the jump on and get a big hit off. Yeah, I think that's about it for the team builder. So I will catch you guys in the match. Peace. Alrighty. So here we are with the actual match itself. As we can see, he just goes hard rain. He brings the Overquill, he brings the Barraskewda, he brings the Pelipper, Samurott Hisuian. So looking at it, I don't see really any hazard control. I guess defog Pelipper, but I really expect something like a Scarf or Spec Set. Trying to get a jump or eliminate switch-ins from the Kaiju, maybe the Lily Lou, stuff like that. Could even get a jump on something like the Zapdos and fire off a big Hurricane. But outside of that, nothing too crazy. I like to lead my Zapdos because I see rain. I want to stop rain. Zapdos throws off a big Thunder, a big Hurricane on pretty much 4 out of the 6 Mons. And even like Sylveon, we're able to see what kind of damage he goes for, what move he goes for. Maybe get a Thunder Para, something like that. So I just feel like Zapdos is pretty free. Looking at this team, I do think Head Game is a great win con still, and I also think Poppy. I just got to break down that Giratina Origin, or better yet, be able to get a big crunch off, and then Silk Scarf, E-Speed, Terra Normal, looks like it could just pick up the game. So let's hop into it. Rocking the cappuccino this morning. The double cap. The double captain. Alright. So Thomas sends out the big portal. Big Chungus. Here, I am Fizdef. I've got max HP, but I don't necessarily want to take something like a Draco. So I'm trying to see what Pokemon I want to switch into a Draco, if I'm being honest. At the same time, I want to kind of understand what his set is. So I just stay in and I go for the U-turn, try to see if he's got any speed on him, which he's running a little bit, it seems like. Base 100, and I think Giratina Origin's like 92 or 90 something. So he throws off a Willow. Here I go for the U-turn. So expecting something like a Will-O-Wisp, Hex, Recover, and possibly Draco for the last move. That's the kind of set that I'm expecting at this point. I know he has to be holding the Gracious. I think that's what it is, the Gracious Orb. So with him being that, I go out into my T-Tar, expecting him to click something like a Will-O-Wisp again, trying to punish it, neuter it if you will, cut it off at the balls. But I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to get up my rocks. I think I'm checking some calcs here, seeing do I just go for the D-Pulse hard or a rock's going to be super nice. And from here, looking at his team, I'm like, dude, rocks are just so good. Rocks are so good. So, and I'm also not too worried about taking a Will-O-Wisp. I know with the Sandstream ability, I can take some, I can take a special hit relatively well. T-Tar is a special wall, even without the sand or even without Drill being able to utilize it. I still really like T-Tar. It's that Kaiju. So, it gets the burn off, but not too big of a deal here. Just getting some chip damage off on the T-Tar as I get up my rocks. And I think that's going to be huge, being able to see what kind of Pokemon he wants to switch out into, seeing if he wants to take a D-Pulse, seeing just all kinds of stuff, you know. I'm going to use my eyes. From here, I think I'm just going to fire off a D-Pulse, or maybe I'll try to get cheeky and go for the Earth Power, expecting something. But nah, I'll just go for the D-Pulse, see what he wants to do. But yeah, he does like to switch out, and I think he goes Sylveon, big picks. I like how all of them are big. That's just little. But he takes rocks, takes a Dark Pulse, and see, he takes nothing. Now, I know Sylveon resists the hit and things like that, but at this point I can tell he is somewhat specially bulky. It could be like max HP or something like that, but it's not just offensive, I guess is the best way to say it. So I know I'll be able to take at least one Hyper Voice, and I'll be able to take a move from whatever else it wants to go for, things like that. But I like to go into my Poppy here. I want to try to pressure this thing, and I realize that I kind of have trouble breaking this thing, especially if he's like Wish Calm Mind. And he makes a killer read. He just goes hard for the Weather Ball, and he gets the Weather Ball rock off. So gangster move on his point. And I start to realize, like, I'm a fucking silly boy. Why did I switch in something that, E-Speed does a lot of damage, breaks not breaks, but cleans really well so early on. In my mind, he was going to go for something like the Wish. And I kind of go into panic mode for a second here. I thought that I'd be able to pressure it with the Iron Head and then go for a crunch on something else. I'd be able to stay, I would be able to stay normal fire type and prevent the Will-O-Wisp, or at least make it a 50-50 if he tried to Wish into Giratina, get a big crunch off, kind of see what he wanted to do. But didn't really work out. So I go hard into my Lily Lou. I want to stay Terrifier because seeing the Weather Ball, like, truth be told, I just didn't prepare for it. I kind of forgot that Sylveon had it. So I know Lily Lou will be able to take any hit it wants to go for and at least fire off a big Power Whip. But he doubles into the, Big Portal? Yeah, the Giratina. And I realize this is a pain. This is a big pain. Sylveon into Giratina, throwing off wishes, things like that. Being able to go for the Will-O-Wisps. I don't want my Lily Lou to get burned because I may need the Play Rough, I may need the Power Whip. I have my T-Tar that can switch in. Even if he wants to go for something like a Draco this turn or whatever. It shuts down the Will-O-Wisp again, things like that. So I go hard back out in my T-Tar, and this is where he shows Defog on the Giratina. So I'm just like, fuck me. Fuck me. I let half my team get fucking knick-knack paddywhacked, and I ain't got nothing to show. So I know I need rocks up. I know I need to be able to break any sashes on something like a Samurai Hisuian or anything. So I get my rocks back up as he goes back out into what was it, big boys, big picks. Yeah. Get on my rocks again. And I need these things to stay. I really, really do. I need these bad mamma jammas to just chill on the field for a little bit. And here I'm just trying to see, like, man, I can't let some of my team go down. I can't take certain hits on certain mons, but I need to pressure Sylveon hard. So I go for the Earth Power, just trying to get some chip damage off. He's shown the Weather Ball. I'm expecting something like the Hyper Voice, probably Wish, and I need to be able to catch him on a turn to where I can get in something. Whether that be my Greninja and go for the Gunk Shot, I got a hit, or something like he's down low and I'm able to go for the Entei Iron Head. I did double out last time, so maybe he thinks I don't have it or something like that. But he goes for the Wish, I go for the Earth Power, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good because Earth Power did nothing. And I know I'm Kaiju, I know I can take a special hit, but I'm burned. I've lost like a quarter of my health at this point, and I really don't need Giratina coming back in. I don't need it to catch that Wish. So I'm trying to see, can I go Lulu? Can I take a hit and then maybe throw off a Play Rough if he wants to go for it, or if he wants to stay in and go for the Hyper Voice? Can I get some good damage off with my Power Whips, things like that? So that's what I do. I go Lulu. And they go for the Hyper Voice. And then here, this is where I realized that they had more special attack than I thought. I didn't pay too much attention to the Weather Ball calc on the Entei. Truth be told, because I just got frantic. I was like, fuck me, man. So he gets back up to full, and I know I have to pressure this thing. So I go hard for the Power Whip. He goes for Protect, so good play on his part, trying to scout and see what I want to do. See if I go for the Play Rough, trying to catch the Giratina on the switch. No harm, no foul. But we at least know its full moveset, right? So here, trying to see Power Whip, how much damage I'm doing. I feel like it's a free move because there's no Wish in the air, so he can't just go hard out into the Giratina. And we realize we're doing quite a bit with that Power Whip. So much that I don't expect him to want to stay in this time and take a Power Whip, just in case of damage roll. Now he does have Protect, but we do have the pressure on the Zapdos, so we're going to burn through those wishes, hopefully. And trying to decide, yeah, he's got to go Giratina. He's going to try to bring that thing back up to health, because Giratina, he knows I have the Terra Normal Entei. He doesn't want to lose to E-Speed, and try to catch him here and go for the Play Rough. I do, and I land, thankfully. Thank God. But yeah, it's a very stally first little half. But slowly but surely, I'm chipping Homeboy down, right? And here, I'm kind of expecting something like the Draco, something like a Will-O-Wisp. I'm trying to decide, do I go out into Kaiju? Do I take a Draco? Do I take a Hex? Do I take a whatever? So, expecting something like that. Maybe another Willow. Like, I'm just trying to see what I got. I'm trying to see what I got. So I go hard Greninja, expecting him to try to click something like the Defog at this point, because rocks are up. And if I can go Greninja and he goes for the Defog, what does he go? Sylveon, trying to predict the Dark Pulse, and then I've got the Gunk Shot. But he just goes hard Willow, and he neuters my Greninja. So I have one less thing to break the Sylveon. And truth be told, it's not looking good for your boy. It is not. So now he knows that even if I have the Gunk Shot, Sylveon is not going to be worried about it too much. So I'm just trying to see, do I get up a Spike here? Do I go Kaiju on the Hex? Do I go anything? Like, what can I do? How do I reach these keys? But ultimately, I end up going the T-Tar, my Kaiju, expecting something like the Hex. Even though I'm burned on Greninja, Greninja isn't super bulky, so it probably wouldn't take a Hex very well. And homeboy just goes big picks again. Big picks again. Let's see here. But at this point, I see he's like 50-ish. Goodness. So, just trying to break it down, man. Break it down. I need to catch my opponent off guard. I need to be able to catch him as he goes for something like a wish, like anything. And I'm trying to just see what I got, because I know T-Tar's not breaking it. Go back out, I believe, into my Zapdos, because I know I can at least pressure stall these wishes. I can roost off some damage. I don't expect the Weather Ball right here, so I'm hoping I can catch him off guard with that. And maybe if he wants to be offensive, he went for a Hyper Voice, but he just goes for the wish. He says, "I am bulky, hear me roar." And yeah, not looking good for our hero. Okay, what do I do here? Boom, boom, boom. Sorry it's so stally at the beginning. I didn't want to play like 2x speed or anything though. But I know I'm going to be faster. I kind of expect him to go for the Weather Ball here, trying to catch the Zapdos off guard, or at least just pick up a KO if I realize I need to get some damage, because Zapdos out of his way just really opens up something like the Barraskewda. So I U-turn out, and what do I go? Lily-Loo, I believe, just because it applies pressure with the Power Whip. I know I can take the Weather Ball Rock. And it just hopefully breaks the cycle if he's offensive, or trying to be offensive at this point. So, do go out into my little Miss Thickums as he clicks the Weather Ball. And we are still taking not as much, right? Like 180 to 127, so nothing crazy. And we get more chip damage. At this point, it's like I can pressure with the Power Whip, right? He's almost near full. If he goes for another wish, again, we're just stalling him out a little bit at this point and trying to deplete him of those motherfuckers. So go for another Power Whip, and I think he goes for a Hyper Voice, or maybe fires off another wish at this point. I mean, we're 13 minutes in, and I've made zero progress. Zero. But thank God I landed the Power Whip. We get some big damage off on this thing. He goes for the Hyper Voice. Does a good bit of damage. Enough to where I died to the Sandstorm, thankfully. And I say thankfully because at this point, I know that I've got to break Sylveon. Like, I just have to. He didn't throw off a wish. He's at 50. I'm hoping I can catch homeboy off guard here and pick up the KO with Poppy. Right? Be able to throw off an Iron Head and hopefully just bop that thing. At this range, depending on the spread, something like the Terra Normal E-Speed could also pick up the KO, but I go for the Iron Head just in case. You know, I know that he knows that I know about the Weather Ball Rock, so maybe he's trying to scout and see if I'm something like Banded, if I want to be locked in to the Terra Normal E-Speed, whatever. So I throw off the Iron Head. He goes for Protect, Sandstorm subsides, and I am not in a good position. Not in a good position. So here, Iron Head has a chance to KO if he's max HP, just kind of depending on his spread. So I'm going to go for it. I don't think he wants to take the Iron Head with the possibility of a flinch. Sandstorm's gone, so he can't hit me with the Weather Ball Rock for super effective. I'm fire, so I resist the Weather Ball, or not the Weather Ball, the Hyper Voice. And I just go for another Iron Head because I've got to break this thing. I could flinch him, and if he tries to stay in, go for any move. And if he goes for a wish, he doesn't make as much progress. He has to protect again, and he ends up going big portal. So with this, I know this is my time to shine. I get the Iron Head chip damage off. I had Rock chip damage, and I go for a Crunch. I've got to be able to break this thing. And I don't expect him to switch out, and even if he does into the Sylveon or something else, he's taking chip damage. I'm at least breaking the cycle from this. And Crunch, thank God, picks up the first KO of the game. We are able to defeat this Giratina, And at this point, I'm happy because I think rocks are here to stay. They're going to be breaking any sashes. They're going to be putting some chip damage on Big Dongus. So, yes, slowly but surely, my friends. Slowly but surely. But because I don't see boots, I do expect Scarf or Specs. Don't want to let Poppy go down just because I like the E-Speed in the back, especially with Barraskewda Rain. Kaiju has taken a lot of chip damage as is, so I'm not expecting to win the ultimate weather war at the end, and really just trying to get an idea as to what I can do here. If he's bulky, E-Speed does not pick up a KO from this point, so just trying to see, man. Ultimately end up going Kaiju. If he does want to stay in and go for something like Scarfed Weather Ball, I'll be able to take that a little bit easier. If he goes for a Surf, I'll be able to take that a little bit easier. And if he goes for the Hurricane, trying to catch something like the Zapdos, he has to hit the Hurricane. But that Specs damage, or not Specs damage, the Surf damage did enough to my boy Kaiju here. So, yeah. At this point, he's shown that Sylveon is the switch-in to Kaiju. He's at like 50% health. I don't really expect him to want to take any hit with the Pelipper, and I could live and get off a KO with something like my T-Tar. And with Sylveon being so free, I've got to try to be aggressive and get the double on that thing. So I go hard out into Entei at this point. Because I got to shut that shit down. I've got to shut that shit down. And that's ultimately what I do. I get the double right. I'm able to go Entei on the big picks. And I prevent that thing from being able to wish stall, get Pelipper back up, get this thing back up, God forbid. And I've just ultimately got to apply pressure. I got to be able to bop that thing. So that's what I do. I come in, I Terra Normal, and I E-Speed. The reason I E-Speed is because it does more damage to anything else on his team. So even if he wants to try to switch onto the Iron Head and switch out into anything else, E-Speed will get the most damage off on everything. I could 2-hit KO the Barraskewda, 2-hit KO the Pelipper, Overquill, depending if he's Intimidate, if he's Swift Swim, whatever. I get some big damage off on that thing. And I'll also pick up the KO here on the Sylveon. So, thank God. Thank God. I've finally broken through the Giratina Sylveon wish bullshit. And I say that like, no hate, no harm, no foul. Homeboy brought tough stuff to break through, and it worked out really, really well. If I didn't pull that double, I don't think I would have been able to break through Sylveon nearly as easily or at all at the end game. But we laid it on the table. We are 20 minutes in, and we have finally picked up the 2 KOs to hopefully run away with the game at some point with Big Poppy. But alas, now the real game has started. I say that, the real game. So now Pelipper is at 75-50 when it switches back in. He can't keep switching in, getting rain in as frequently. He could have something like the Roost or whatever. Could be Damp Rock, but we know rocks are up. We know he takes chip damage. If he goes Pelipper, I'm probably just going to stay in an E-Speed, try to get off damage on that thing. Barraskewda, I obviously don't kill, and neither do I kill the Overquill, and neither do I kill Big Colin. Big Colin. But he switches this thing in. I know E-Speed looks good in the back, but I don't think it's the time to try to pick up the KOs here. I don't think I can run away with it. So Spanish 2, I've got the Rocky Helmet. He's got to go for some kind of like physical contact move. I could go Air Cutter, I guess, but I'm expecting something like the Ceaseless Edge. So I go Zapdos, see about getting some Rocky Helmet chip damage off. I can U-turn out. I can still hit some Thunders. I can see what's happening. So he goes Ceaseless Edge, and I get the Rocky Helmet chip damage. And at this point, like I said, I realize I'm static, or pressure and not static. So my chances of being able to pair this guy are no bueno. No bueno. But I realize I can take some ceaseless edges. So now it's my turn to stall and make this motherfucker just keep taking chip damage with the Rocky Helmet. I've got my rocks up, and unfortunately it looks like he's going to be able to get all 3 layers of spikes up. But if I'm able to get this thing at full health, at some point he's got to bring in the Pelipper. Without rain, I'm not as worried about the Barraskewda getting that boost and if he's tear water. So I actually go for it Thunder, and the reason being is I could pick up a KO here, I could hit any kind of switch in. He's not killing me with another Ceaseless Edge, but it's free. So go for Big Thunder here as he switches in Big Body the Overquill. He shows that he's not Intimidate, and I get some big old damage off on that thing. Big old damage. I do get the para, so that's nice. I say that because we are no speed Zapdos. So with the para, I know that I'll be able to outspeed this next turn, and I just fire off. What do I go for? A Roost here? Yeah. I go for another Roost, or a Roost rather, just to get my health back up, because I see Zapdos being crucial in stalling out and getting some Rocky Helmet chip damage off on things. And Entei's looking really good with that E-Speed, being able to switch in and just apply a lot of pressure. So if I can keep Entei around, he only has 1 layer of spikes up. I think we've still got this in the back. And now that I'm at full, I throw off another Thunder, and I land again. Oh, Spanish too. Oh, Zapdos, he's getting it. And we pick up another KO. So kudos to my man, Spanish too. Kudos. Okay. So Big Colin, is that the belly coming back out? No, that's Samurai Hisuian. So I could tell that he wasn't banded. I could tell that, couldn't really tell, if he was black glasses, but I knew he wasn't banded. So kind of expected black glasses. Could have been scarfed as well because he outsped. And that's kind of the game that I'm playing. Expect him to be something like the Scarf, and I just keep going for the Roost here. He can't pick up the KO from the health I'm at. Or no, I go for the Thunder first. I go for the Thunder thinking I could pick up the KO, because I only had the 1 layer of spikes up. If he had 2 up, I should be able to get Entei back in. But that was not the case. I missed my Thunder, but I hit 2 last time, and I got the para. So I get it. Go for a Roost this time, because that's my game plan, is just to Rocky Helmet stall Homeboy off. And here he shows the knockoff. Does get rid of my Rocky Helmet, and so that shows me that he was not choice scarfed. So a little bit different than what I thought. I thought I would just be able to whittle that thing in and get more Rocky Helmet off as he got up his 3 layers, and I'd be able to pick up the KO on a switch in from Rocks and Rocky Helmet. But no, he knocks off my Rocky Helmet, he goes for another Ceaseless Edge, and I've just got to keep Roost stalling him. I've got to be able to get this thing healthy enough to where I can live a hit. I can take the Ceaseless Edge back at full, and yeah. The cool thing is, with him being faster, he is going to go first, so my Roost will get me back up to full, or as full as I can be. And then I have to worry about the burn, and then hopefully pick up the KO with something like the Weather Ball. Not having to force myself to go to a Thunder and miss and then be screwed, ultimately. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm looking at this, see, okay, probably black glasses because he wasn't scarfed in any way. Trying to see my outs. Head game can switch in once, and if he gets the weather up, then Water Shuriken's looking really good. But I'm just trying to see what is my win con, how I get this in. He's got 3 layers of spikes up. I'm not rocking heavy duty boots. I know that Spectrier before rain, it would look really nice if I could get a sub in or something like that. So just go for another Roost here ultimately as he continues to Ceaseless Edge. And I get back up to full. Yeah, as close to full as I can. Very solid game. Lots of fun. Big views. And here I go for the weather ball, expecting to pick up the KO, not having to click the thunder. And this is when I realized that homeboy is actually AV because I do not pick up the KO. And I just am cussing myself up. I'm like, you motherfucker, you pussy. You should have just clicked thunder. You should have just went for it, laid it all on the table. Because now I just have to go back to this roost bullshit. Thankfully, we're pressure. We're running down those ceaseless edges. I just got to go back to knockoff at some point. But static here would have been awesome. Because he was AV, I would have been able to pick up something maybe like a static. Maybe. And then we would have been able to pick up the KOs like the weather ball, or at least pair him to where I'm at full. And then he has to switch into something. But no. Life is not that easy for our hero. Life is not that easy for the Pokemon professor. And as you can see, I get my last roost off. I'm out of roost. So it's time to nut up or shut up. And that's what I got to do. I got to nut up or shut up. Here, I'm looking at it, and I know I need Zapdos from full. I know I need to be able to take a hit. He has 3 layers of spikes up. I go out into, I believe, Kaiju just to sack it. If I can sack this thing and I get in my head game for the Water Shuriken with the rain, loaded dice, I should be doing some big damage to the Barraskewda if he wanted to switch in. The Pelipper, if he switches in, I get my Battle Bond off, so I get the +1. And if he doesn't go Pelipper to get the speed on the Barraskewda, I'm actually able to outspeed and get off some big hits with the Dark Pulse, and then he's got to go Rain and like switch into Rocks twice, and I just feel like that's my best play overall. So I do go head game, and I am going to fire off the Water Shuriken, because even if he goes Pelipper, he can live a hit, but he's taking Rocks. I get priority, and I get the Rain boost. So I just feel like that's my best overall win con at this point. And that's what I do. I go for it. I promise this game comes to an end. I promise. It just takes it a minute. But he goes out into the Pelly. I'm trying to see what kind of set I am, I'm sure. And then also not just give me the Battle Bond immediately. But thankfully he gives me Rain. So with this Water Shuriken damage, I'm able to pick up the KO, I believe, the next turn. Because Water Shuriken, even with the Rain boost before I get my Battle Bond, is just not enough at 4 times. But I'm low to die, so I know I'll hit at least 4 more times. And at that point, it will pick up the KO. So another free Water Shuriken here. Down goes Big Dongus. Big Chungus. Big Fish. Is that the other one? Is that the Barraskewda? I like it. I like all the big names. But we get our Battle Bond. Thank God. And at this point, he's pretty much got to go out into the... he's got to go out into the Barraskewda. We don't know if he's Terra Water. We don't know if he's Terra Grass. But either way, I've got to go for the Water Shuriken just to get chip damage off. Even if he's Terra Grass, I'm doing a good bit of damage. We get to see what he's locked out into. But expecting Choice Band, something like that. And Water Shuriken is just the best way for me to get any chip damage off. So, I don't know what I'm doing here. I guess I'm just contemplating life. But get off Water Shuriken. Able to slowly but surely get some chip damage off on this thing. Let's see if I get 5 and a crit. I'm looking. I get a crit. Do I? No. Nah. I only get 4. But I got the crit. So he is able to pick up the KO with Liquidation. No, he didn't Terra here. So I was thinking maybe he was just Terra Water. But I didn't think that would make any sense because it would have helped with the damage output and things like that. Here, I'm looking and I'm like, did Poppy live 3 layers of spikes? I really had no idea. So I go out into Poppy, and if he did, I won. But it didn't. So I just sacked off my Poppy for no reason. And that's on me. Ultimately, Ultimately, that was just on me. I don't know what to say. He had 3 layers of spikes up, and I guess I just didn't do the damage. Like, I don't pay attention. I don't know the thing off the top of my head. I think 25% if all 3 layers, or I don't know. I don't know, man. I know rocks are like 116 or 1/8. They're at some 25% if you're weak. That's all I know. But here, I really have no other play. I just go out into Zapdos, and I go for the Thunder. Again, he doesn't elect to Terra. And I think if he had Terra watered and gotten that crit the way he did, he would have picked up the KO, because after the game we talk and he reveals 2P protective pads. So, is what it is there. But he goes big calling, and we pick up the KO with Thunder there, and here he dies to the rock switch in. And yeah, that's ultimately the way we win. Very long, drawn-out game. He said that he switched from Samurott, forgetting that rocks were up, and he was like, I think I would have won if rocks weren't up, or Samurott lived the rock switch. No, maybe he said he thought he lived the rock switch in one last time, which I get. Hell, I didn't pay attention to the whole Entei thing, being able to switch into spikes, but should he have lived and picked up the KO, he said he won because he had the sucker for Spectrier in the back, but I did have the sub. I would have clicked sub immediately, and then, whether he attacked straight up, it would have become a 50-50 for me clicking sub, knock off, Ceaseless Edge, or something like that. But ultimately, I think I would have been able to sub up on the sucker and then Draining Kiss the following turn on something else, and then pick up the KO that way. Very long game. Was fun. It really was. It was a good game. So shout outs to Thomas Clark, Lewis and Clark. But week 2 isn't as long. So I will catch you guys in. Peace.